Welcome to Fintech Uncut, the quiz show with candid commentary on the biggest fintech and financial services news of the week that was. Disclaimer: this show is created purely for entertainment purposes and contains segments of sarcasm, satire, parody, and humor. Even if you don't think any of it is funny, the creators do not accept any responsibility or liability for the accuracy of any content shared and reminded you to always fact-check everything yourself. And now, it's over to your Quizmaster.
Hello everyone, welcome at Fintech Uncut, the quiz show with candid commentary on the week's biggest fintech and financial services stories with the wise guy, the other guy, and Judge Mary. Curious what the impact is of recording this edition at 1 o'clock? Make sure you stay with us until the end of this show. I'm Rick Kokkelbergs, your host of the day. And we have Judge Mary, we have the wise guy, Chris Skinner, and Andrew Vorster, the other guy. Let's start with the first question, my friends. The word Genesis suddenly got a different meaning this week. What happened?
It's a revival of Phil Collins. He's come back. Everybody's suddenly discovering him again. No?
Isn't Phil Collins dead? Oh, no, he's not. Sorry.
Not.
He's getting there, though, slowly but surely.
Look,
But then aren't we all?
it's all these youngsters have suddenly rediscovered again. So Genesis now, they know who Genesis is.
And that's the meaning
but
of Genesis.
Peter Gabriel was always the better player, in my view, but that's another discussion. Isn't this about the Gen ISIS, which is the new generation of Islamic Muslims? No?
Next generation, yeah, like Gen Z, Gen ISIS.
Yeah.
In the UK, it's a brand new meaning for a whole lot of people because the car brand, Korean car brand Genesis, announced this week that they're opening a new, they don't even call them showrooms there. It's a studio in Scotland, first one outside of London, to sell their cars. They compete with Tesla, Polestar, and things like that. So Genesis is going to be spoken about a lot in the UK coming on soon. Are we even getting close there?
I'm going to tell you something new, my friend.
I
For 8 episodes, we're now discussing fintech news, not just anything.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
So is it Genes is Us, where you can actually store your DNA with your bank or fintech partner, and you basically you can spit on an ATM and get cash?
I think a lot of people discovered religion and discovered that Genesis was the first book of the Bible when Bank of America just disappeared all their money because they were having a problem with Zelle, I don't know how you pronounce it, the transfer thing. Yeah. So hundreds of thousands of people woke up to not having any money in their bank accounts, and they started praying for its return. So they discovered religion and Genesis, and that's to do with fintech, right?
This is to do with fintech, but I want the real answers, gentlemen.
I think it's more to do with cryptocurrencies and the implosions of so many platforms and firms, and Genesis is yet another one linked with the Winklevoss brothers of Facebook fame, mainly because they were supporting the platform, and it's like another FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried implosion. Is that about right?
So Genesis is now meaning the beginning of the end for those people.
Okay,
exactly.
I like that. And yes, Chris, you nailed it. I think the only thing to add is that Genesis first warned investors of its possible collapse in November of last year. Rick, anything else you want to throw into the mix here?
No, but I bet that Chris has more comments on the story, as that's the kind of things he writes about quite often.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that they warned last November, it's that now they tried to get a funding round of over $1 billion. They didn't get that round of funding. So, they're facing the end of the cliff top. So it's the end of the beginning rather than the beginning of the end, or both, whatever, I don't know. So they're falling off a cliff, and it's like so many crypto platforms and groups. and it will get sorted out. But what I find interesting right now is the idea of decentralized finance is really up for question, because if you have no regulatory oversight, it doesn't work. And that's
Well,
what
the
we're
thing
seeing.
is, and maybe I have something to contribute. If we talk about decentralized finance, then why do we have these platforms that are doing fraud all the time? I mean, the fact that Genesis is now going down has not so much to do with the profits, etc., that they're making with the platform, but the promises that they're making to customers that were more or less based on an expected continuous growth of the value of cryptocurrencies, but not so much on any tangible, real reasons why they could give high yield for the money and the virtual money that people put on those platforms.
Yeah, it's a big question around the platforms versus the currencies. And
Yep.
you and I, Rick, exchanged some comments around this, which is, the currencies themselves are actually, in some cases, workable.
Yep.
But the platforms and the ecosystem that's using those currencies are the ones that raise questions.
Yep.
And just before I finish on that note, I did note that, Rick, you're having a glass of wine. Andrew, you're drinking a bottle of wine, and you're drinking from the bottle. I mean, come on, where's your etiquette?
Where's my bottle? Oh, right. Okay. You guys caught me out there. So.
All right. Well, Chris wins this round with 9 points. Andrew, you have 5 points.
Even though I gave him 4 to start with.
Yeah. It's a cruel world, Chris.
Next question. We discussed about the rather bad weather these days for neobanks. However, in an article this week, we also read that it's not all doom and gloom in the neobank landscape. What's the secret sauce for success? I think Chris buzzed, but the buzzer didn't work.
My buzzer's not working. I'm using my shoehorn.
Yeah, I see. If you do this, I know that you're buzzing.
Okay, plus 1 point for that. Rick helped you out, Chris.
So the secret sauce, am I allowed to mention OnlyFans again?
Well, I think you already are. We'll find out if it's a negative point situation.
It may not be OnlyFans, but Tinder, Grindr, some all the ones that I use. I don't know. Anyway, there's a lot of secret sauce out there. I should keep it secret. Sorry.
And neobanks shouldn't copy it.
Look, you guys, the only secret sauce that you need when you're a neobank, that you need to know about for 2023, this is an insider tip, is that
just for us.
The 2023 Pantone color of the year is Viva Magenta.
Ooh.
Why is that important? Well, look back. Monzo, they launched with coral pink, and Wise launched with lime green, all really successful. So if you want to be a successful neobank, launch with a card of the color of the year, Pantone color of the year, and that's it.
I'm so glad, Andrew, that you're doing our graphic design.
No, the secret sauce is nothing to do with colors. It's to do with bribery. Basically, you need to give the best interest rates. And if you give the best interest rates, you'll always have success.
It's getting close, isn't it, Mary?
Yeah, he's getting close. Andrew, do you want to challenge him with a factual fact off?
Yeah, well, I think Chris has nailed it there, because if we see the success of JP Morgan Chase here in the UK, it's attracted a unprecedented number of users within a short space of time. They've managed to secure over £8 billion worth of savings since they launched, which was only in May 2022, so they haven't even been open for a year. And so they're touting a lot of success, particularly against, Starling, Monzo, and all of the other startups in the UK. And I believe, as Chris says, the main reason is because they've been offering higher than everybody else interest rates. I hesitate to use the word high, because they're still tiny low single digits. But the point is, they're offering actually interest rates where most of the other banks aren't offering anything else. And I think their customers are really happy with their slick app, the interface. I myself haven't opened an account with them, but they've had a lot of positive feedback. So the secret sources get a really good slick app, nice interface, and offer interest.
But I've got a question for Mary on this, in that if that's the case, why is Chase succeeding in Britain when it failed with Fin in America?
Well, I was thinking just about that. Like, I think in the end, it took some of the features of built-in Fin into its app. But yeah, I can tell you one thing, Chase does not compete on price in the US, but even if it did, there's only a small portion of people who rate hop here, because we have banks, you know, Ally Bank pays a high APY and so on, but like it's not bringing in the people like it is in your world.
So what does bring in the people in America?
What does bring the branch next door still seems to have, sadly, an effect. Like people grow, you know, you open the bank account where your parents have a bank account and it's probably local and you hang on to it. But a newer wrinkle, and this is something my new colleague talks about a lot, Ron Shevlin, but calls it a paycheck motel. And that is because like you'll still have that traditional bank account, but then you're like using all the other apps. Maybe you're also a Chime customer. So that could be like your real bank account, but it's not like you ditched Chase or Bank of America.
I kind of separate it into everyday banking and complex banking. You know, everyday banking is with Chime, for example, and complex banking is Wells Fargo or Chase.
But the interesting thing for me was to see the success of a large, very well-established legacy bank launching a fintech. You know, we've seen other ones not
launching
even
a bank.
Well, launching a neobank and having such success with it. So it shows it can be done. Why don't the other big legacy banks just revitalize what they've got? You know, they've got the brand, they've got the people, but they're losing them, they're hemorrhaging them. You know, all of those deposits were probably taken away from legacy banks and moved over into Chase. Well, that was a missed opportunity for the old banks in the room.
But at the end, I think you have to put that into context, and it's from 2022. So that's from the time that interest rates at the central bank were not making any money to banks. So very often they were even happy that savings money would go out if they couldn't exchange it into lending. On top of that, you have to keep in mind that it cost JP Morgan almost $500 million to launch it. So you could argue profitability of being downloaded the most from the neobanks in the UK.
It's not so much the downloads, it's also they have attracted 8 billion in deposits, don't forget.
Yeah.
If it was just app downloads, I'd go, meh, you know, people
Interest
are
rates, interest rates.
Yep.
And
All right, next question. Or
Chase
Mary,
app is
sorry.
better than a lot of big banks.
Points.
That's all I say. But the points, Chris has 6, Andrew 7 this round.
Oh.
Chris is still in the lead. He's still in the lead, but will he keep it?
I won't make any comments about your OnlyFans with that.
Check how much. Okay.
Talking about OnlyFans, let's go to the next round, the controversial one. And my next question is, a wise guy, it's not Chris Skinner, once told me, if it doesn't make you money, it's a hobby. What is Goldman Sachs' biggest hobby?
Goldman Sachs' CEO, David Solomon, has a big hobby. Many people don't know about. He moonlights as a DJ D-Soul, and he plays at music festivals all around the place. Serious, Rick, you laughing? I mean, so I think that their biggest hobby is they encourage people to have hobbies. So I reckon that they've invested obviously in his record label now, because he's been pumping out EDM records as well.
Yeah, but that's the CEO. I mean, as an organization, I think their favorite hobby is probably stuffing Muppets, because that's what they did back in 2008. And there's actually a great video around the fact that they call their customers Muppets, and they treat them as though they're idiots,
I
which is
did
not a
not
very good way to
know.
treat the customer.
You're gonna have to send me a link to that video so I can put it in the show notes.
I will. I will. It's I'm trying to remember who starred in it. I don't remember the actor's name, but there's a great sketch on YouTube, which is basically a Goldman Sachs meeting talking about all those Muppets out there who are just idiot customers that they can go and stuff.
Oh God. Well, you guys are both playing with realities, but what is your real answer for this question? Who's gonna win this round?
Well, I think, talking of Muppets, Goldman Sachs are a Muppet in that they've invested a huge amount in fintech in the last few years. And in particular, the headline this week was they invested $3 billion in fintech in the last 21 months, I think it was. It's even less than 2 years. And it's been written off as a loss. And I avoided mentioning Marcus during the conversation about Chase in the last section, because Marcus is one of their big bets, and that's not really paying off. But equally, most of the stuff they're doing in fintech isn't paying off. And you've got to ask, why are they failing in their return on investment in space? And it's because they don't understand it. They're not a retail bank. They've never had experience of retail banking. The people they hired to do retail banking in Marcus all didn't work out, and they all left. And the acquisitions they made have been ill-advised. It's really shocking for a bank that you would think was going to be savvy on the end of the Wall Street corner.
Mm-hmm.
But as you say, they've never been in retail banking before. And what made them think that they could break into the space?
Well, they spent millions on advertising and bribery, giving good interest rates. And in fact, the one headline that really jumped out at me is that the biggest losses they made out of those $3 billion in the last 21 months or so is on Apple Card. And Apple are, sort of walking home with great happiness because they've lost nothing, and they've learned everything about finance and the risks that you take, whilst Goldman Sachs took all the risks and made all the losses.
Well, I am afraid to report Chris also won this round with 8 points. Andrew, you have 6 points, but especially 2 of those points are definitely just for the DJ reference, because that is still shocking to me, even having known that.
Someone sitting at the bar.
DJ Solomon.
Yeah.
All right, next question. Now for this question, I will quote someone and I'll ask you to guess who said it and in which context. The quote is, "The last few months have provided me with a valuable character study of the industry. Some treated me like an entirely different person overnight. Some immediately offered sympathy and support. It will be a difficult experience to forget."
Oh, I know. Prince Harry.
He's buzzing.
It's Prince Harry. It's come on, it's got to be Prince Harry, and being a spare, and he's got into Netflix, and he's learned all about that industry, and he's realized that he's a complete waste of space.
I think it's another big social media whinger. Sorry, I mean influencer. Andrew Tate, after he had that Twitter spat with Greta Thunberg, and then his location was revealed and he got arrested by the Romanian police. And, I think that it was him whining about unfair treatment and everything like that. Not Andrew Tate?
I mean,
it's a fintech quiz show. You could guess Boris Johnson.
There's so many contenders for this. You could go from Mark Zuckerberg to, I'm not going to go there.
It's going to be our good
Andrew Oyster.
It's going to be our good friend Elon Musk who must have said that, because people
have to mention that every week.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, people heard that he couldn't pay rent, so he was auctioning off his office stuff. He auctioned off a Twitter sign, auctioned off the coffee machines, auctioned off all sorts of stuff to raise money so people realized that, or he realized that he didn't know the blooming industry and people are treating him differently. It's got to be Elon Musk. Come on, that's going to be the right
If you
answer.
follow Elon Musk close enough, you'll realize that he lives in shoebox on middle of interstate motorway. So he doesn't need the money. So sell off all the assets of Twitter because you paid a few billion that you shouldn't have done to buy something that's completely worthless.
All
Chris,
right.
who is it?
All right. Yes. Real answers, Rick. Tell them how it goes.
Chris should answer the question if he can. Otherwise, I'll give the word to Andrew.
Or Andrew. Yeah, Andrew should answer the question to go for the win.
Well, the answer is Brett Harrison, who was the former president of FTX, and he went on this long Twitter expose.
FTX US. It's the sub-branch for the United States.
But he went on a long Twitter rant, just revealing how bad the treatment was and what Sam Bankman-Fried was like, and how abusive he was, and he made lots of allegations.
By the way, it's not Bankman-Fried, it's Bankman-Fried. The Fried Bankman.
Yeah, the Fried.
He's going to be a Netflix series, but he's a Fried Bankman.
So he was definitely he was the one who made the quote. And said it was the most devastating and destabilizing time of his personal and professional life.
But wasn't it like he posted 49 tweets in a thread that went through the whole debacle of FTX and what happened? And I guess he's trying to deflect blame.
Yeah, poor fella. The only friends he has is followers on Twitter.
Oh, Rick, that's so sad. Also, he's probably just really angry.
The more that comes out about FTX, the more I sit back and just am amazed that it could all have happened. And bear in mind that Fried Bankman is only in his early 30s, and this thread of tweets is from the US leader.
Is he 30 already?
It's kind of like, do they not understand how finance works? And then you go, no, they don't understand how finance works.
No.
And that's what really is the core point here, which is don't trust people who haven't been around the block and haven't got any grey hairs.
But the thing is, I don't think he didn't just understand what finance was. He just didn't understand business.
Or he understood it very well and knew how to abuse it.
Well, yeah.
Just like Madoff did. Another great series.
Interesting series. Yeah, I've just started watching that one.
Or Bernie Madoff.
Bernie Madoff.
Well, yeah, that's
Bernie
what
Madoff
I said.
for the money. Yeah.
All right. Andrew, you win this round just barely. 7 points. Chris, 6 points. Chris is still in the lead.
All righty. Round number 3. WTF. First question. 37% or 196 members of the new Congress in the United States got elected with funding based on loose sand. What happened? It's a tricky question, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm guessing it's to do with Donald Trump. And Donald Trump saying that elections are broken and that actually he did win, and Joe Biden is a rebel without a force. Something like that.
I know nothing about American politics. So I'm taking wild guesses, but just riffing off Chris's Donald Trump scenario, I would say Donald Trump, fake news. Somebody probably asked ChatGPT to come up with the new members for Congress. So ChatGPT is renowned for spreading fake news. So maybe they all got in because it was a ChatGPT recommendation.
The entire Congress is voted by ChatGPT.
That's it. Yeah. I think that's probably the answer. No?
Maybe ChatGPT could do our show next week.
Might come up. I'm going to have to start.
We'll just put all the questions into ChatGPT and see what it comes up with,
Yeah. But unfortunately, he only knows news from 2021.
Yeah. There we go. Straight away.
I must admit that I've been binge watching Billions, the TV series, over the holiday season. I don't know if you guys have seen it with Damian Lewis. But there's one particular episode which is all about the Attorney General of New York, saying that they should have all the voting system on the blockchain, and it's blocked by the governor. And the reason it's blocked by the governor is the governor doesn't want the blockchain to record the real votes because they can't rig the votes if it's on the blockchain.
Ooh.
So maybe it's to do with that.
Maybe. It's getting
Maybe.
closer to fintech.
I-
that's for sure.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to ask Mary, as the only American here. Mary, what the heck
no.
happened here?
No, I
come
mean, the thing is both surprising and not surprising, and it's about how the senators were, how many, more than 1 in 3 of the 535 senators and representatives in the US have a FTX baggage because they took money from that campaign. And I think this was a huge report done in CoinDesk, like reaching out to all these people to be like, so what are you doing with this money? And some said nonprofits and so on, but I think a lot of them didn't respond. And I mean, I don't know. To me, this is just another, surprising, but also not surprising.
You're not telling me that a senator or a governor can be brought?
I'm breaking hearts in this episode, okay?
I mean,
All
I'm
a sham,
shocked.
Chris.
I'm shocked politicians could be, slightly corrupt. It's like something I'd never imagined.
Well, that's what we say now, but the moment that they got the money, there was nothing wrong with FTX. It was the new kid on the block, and everyone got money. Now probably there's going to be lawsuits asking that money back for the victims that were being frauded, and that's why these days they're saying, yeah, we gave to charity. Unfortunately, we can't get the money back. But at the end, they got quite a lot of votes with that money, all based on fraud and thus loose end. It's a pretty frightening story indeed.
It is a frightening story. And so I give Rick and I the points for this one. 0 to
I think that's fair, actually.
this round. The glory goes to us.
Very
even
good
though we have
judging.
the answers.
That's good. Yeah, I think that's excellent. I support that move. Right. So I'm going to steal this last one from Chris then.
Yeah,
No,
you
you
better.
don't.
You need some extra points, Andrew.
Starting to get to know you guys. And
I'll let you buzz
think-
first. I'll let you buzz first.
I think this question is going to go to Chris. This is my favorite
It's
question.
a great
of
question. I
today's
love this question. And the answer is yes.
Next question. Was it inspired by Culture Club? Fact is that big financial service player, created Culture Lab to introduce value-based behaviors to help improve the company's internal culture. Can you guess which company it is?
It's got to be Credit Karma. Karma Chameleon and all that kind of.
I thought after losing so much money in fintech, it would be Goldman Sachs.
Well, actually, I think it does go back to Goldman Sachs because Rick said it was all about value-based behaviors. And I think that Goldman Sachs needs its employees to understand that value-based behaviors actually means make bloody value for the organization.
Well, I'm going to show my age, and I'm going to ask Mary to validate this because she's so much younger than me. And that Culture Club's biggest hit was "Do You Really Want to Hurt Me?" Have you ever heard that song?
No, I have not.
Okay, thanks.
Sing it.
Because
And that's telling because I listen to a lot of older music.
yeah, it's dad's dancing and dad's music. But basically, "Do You Really Want to Hurt Me?" really resonates with the whole of the financial industry. So maybe it's about every bank.
I like
And
that a lot.
it was Culture Club's biggest hit. And I saw them live in Leeds before you were born. Well, not you, Andrew.
We find out Chris is like 200 years old. All right, real answers. Da, 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 da.
Well, if you really want the real answer, it's Revolut, which is been reported for having a toxic culture in lots of media. And they finally hired some psychoanalysts to provide support to their people. And going back to my mention of Billions, which is a hedge fund run by Damian Lewis, Axe Capital, they have the head of HR, who's also a human coach, people coach, who is a doctor with a psychoanalysis doctorate, to make their traders still be human, or that's the idea. And I'm guessing that Revolut wants to be more human because they've hired a group of psychoanalysts to make their culture better.
Maybe they should also try the special Luxembourg treatment. Remember that one from last year?
The ice treatment. And they're insisting that it's got nothing to do with the regulatory report and findings that came out of it. Yeah, sure.
And bearing in mind that they're trying to get a UK banking license, and the FCA is saying no because they don't think they're ready for it. It's all part of that strategy.
But it is rather telling that that they have to do something like this. I mean, has that been the cost of them getting their massive growth? I mean, is that toxic culture what's contributed to their success? And if they change the culture, will they continue to be successful? And that's the thing. No, I'm not saying that the toxic culture is right, but it has produced results. What happens when they change the culture?
It has produced short-term results.
It has, because they've
short-term
only been around for a short term.
But going back to Goldman Sachs, you could say that everyone involved in the investment markets are going to have a toxic culture because they drive their interns and their graduates to work 16-hour plus days and no weekends off for years. And, that is the nature of these markets, and that's what Revolut's culture was like. And I guess they're trying to scale it back and make it more sensible.
That's going to be a tough thing to pull off. So that will be a cure. I would love to be a fly on the wall for this training.
Unfortunately, you're not, Mary. You're not a fly.
Not yet.
No. A bumblebee?
Oh, bumblebee. Yeah, actually, I really like bumblebees. Thank you. That's an upgrade.
So do I.
All right.
All right, Chris. That's
won.
enough with all the compliments.
You won. You got 8 points. Andrew got 6. So, Andrew, I'm sorry, but Chris continues to be the winner for this year.
2023. Here we are. I am the wise guy, by the way. So, the wise guy always beats the other guy.
That is true. So, Mary, did I understand it well that he won this question, or did he won the episode?
He won this question and he won the game.
Oh, no. Well, I knew it's the end of our show because my glass is empty, but... he won again. Andrew, more compliments for the judge next time.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the thing. That's I'll just have to bring in another judge.
And it's happening. Ooh, burn. I'm going to come back with a vengeance, Andrew.
As a bumblebee.
That was just leading up to the fact that next week we do have a guest judge confirmed. We've got Gela Boskovic confirmed as next week's guest judge, not because Mary never lets me win, but Mary is not available. But I'll have to see if buttering up Gela will actually, no, that's not going to work because Gela has it in for me all the time.
Having Gela as a judge, I'm so glad being the one to ask the questions and not the answers.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I thank you too for joining the quiz again, and Judge Mary for judging it. And I'd like to thank everyone for watching and listening. I cannot wait for more international fintech news coming soon. If you like our show, make sure you register on our website for the newsletter to be the first to know about new episodes. If you are a big fan, you can find the link to our merchandise on that same website. And of course, if you like the channels you're following our show on, make sure that you subscribe to make sure, again, to be the first to know about new show. This was the 8th episode of Fintech Uncut. We hope to entertain you, your colleagues, your friends, your connections and followers, cats and dogs, bumblebees, and more very soon again. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.